It seems to touch a nerve when I suggest validating someone's emotions even when you think they're wrong. One viewer recently commented, "Do not validate irrational feelings. Do not enable. This is everything that's wrong in the world right now, making feelings an object of worship and importance." Don't get me wrong, I'm all for rational thinking. But this comment highlights a critical distinction so many people miss, and their relationships pay the price. In this video, I'm going to clear up the confusion. I'll help you understand why leaning into the old saying, "feelings are not facts," in the wrong way, may be moving your relationship backwards. Now I can already hear the critics. "Chris, why are you telling me to enable bad behavior in my partner? I refuse to give in to incorrect statements and false accusations." If this is you, I have something very important to tell you. You're absolutely right. Does that surprise you? It's true, feelings are not facts. But when we understand the distinction between thoughts and feelings, we don't have to choose between them. Just because your partner is upset and needs your support, it doesn't mean you have to agree to things that are not correct. But disagreeing about facts also doesn't mean ignoring your partner's emotional needs is going to lead you anywhere productive. You can't have it both ways, and I'm going to teach you how in this video. The truth is, we need to talk about feelings and thoughts differently. They are different experiences and occupy different places in the psyche. They also serve a different purpose when it comes to living in the world. I need to address a trend I see in public discussions, the idea that emotions make you weak. Emotions are a feminine instinct, and emotions are used to manipulate the rational ones in the relationship. Somehow, emotional intelligence means you have to sacrifice rationality, masculinity, and strength seems to be gaining traction. As you might guess, I don't find these ideas very productive. Also, the fields of psychology and neuroscience have both shown this just is not true. There's nothing to indicate a connection between emotional intelligence and masculinity, strength, or the ability to think rationally. That's not a thing. But they are different. When you recognize the role of emotion and how to differentiate between thoughts and emotions, it can change everything for you and your relationship. In the discussion of rational versus irrational, there's something people get wrong a lot. They talk about irrational feelings. The truth is that by definition, feelings are not rational. They don't come from the rational part of the psyche. But ignoring your feelings, yours and your partner's, creates all kinds of problems. We'll talk about this more when we get deeper into validation, and you'll gain a deeper understanding of why validating your partner's feelings is so important. But saying irrational feelings is like saying tuna fish or wet water. It's redundant. If we needed feelings to be rational, we just call them thoughts. There would be no distinction. Think of feelings as the check engine light in yourself and your partner. Big feelings come up when there's something you need to pay attention to. Sure, you can ignore the oil level light on your car for a while and keep driving, but ignoring it for long, not validating its message, you probably won't like how that turns out. The oil light isn't an opinion about the engine, it's a data point. When your partner is upset, their emotion is a check engine light for the relationship. You can argue that the light shouldn't be on just because you just changed the oil, the facts, but that doesn't change the reality that the dashboard is glowing red. You can ignore the light and win the argument about the oil change. You're still going to end up stranded on the side of the road. Now, if you're thinking, this is all good and well, Chris, but what if all that emotion is leading my partner to say things that have no basis in reality? What if they're being irrational? I get it, and this is exactly why you need to understand the difference. When you really understand how to validate emotion, you don't have to give up on the facts to validate that emotion. It's true, feelings are not facts, but this just helps us recognize that we can deal with two separate but related conditions at the same time. Simply put, feelings are faster than thoughts, a lot faster. The truth is, we're essentially running 2026 software on 40,000-year-old hardware. We're built to live in a world where we hunted antelope and evaded predators. When information enters your brain through your senses, it goes two places at once. First, it hits the fear circuitry, the amygdala. This part of the brain is a security guard asking one question: can this kill me? It's crude and simple. It sees a squiggly brown thing in the grass and it screams, "Snake!" before you even know that you're looking at a stick. This response happens in about 10 to 20 milliseconds. It's visceral, it's automatic, and at that speed, it's not a choice. At the same time, the information travels to your analytical brain, the prefrontal cortex. This is the CEO of your mind. It's sophisticated. It looks at the data and realizes, oh, that's just a piece of bark. It's not moving. But here's the kicker. That conscious awareness takes about 200 to 300 milliseconds. That means your logical brain is 10 to 20 times slower than your emotional response. By the time your rational brain even logs into the meeting, Security guard's already pulled the fire alarm, your heart rate is up, and the argument's off and running. So when people say feelings aren't facts, they're technically right, but they're missing the point. In a race for your attention, feelings win every single time. If you believe you can simply logic your way out of that 180 millisecond gap, you've lost that race before it began. Hey friends, I want to take just a second to let you know about another way that we can connect. I've built a Patreon community, and I want to invite you to also step over there and get involved in that. A couple things happen over on that Patreon. First, I'm going to be doing deeper dives into a lot of these concepts, things that I can't really cover very effectively in a 10-minute YouTube video. It also gives you a chance to help support my work in very meaningful ways. When you step up and do that, it helps me prioritize this work and make more videos to help people. If you'll come over there and join that community as well, I think we can do some pretty important work together. I hope to see you there. Now, let's come at this from a different angle, because we need to unpack another thing I hear said that's incorrect. That feelings are not to be trusted, but rationality is. Feelings aren't ever rational, but they are real, so there's no negotiating feelings. So just like screaming profanities at your car, you can focus on what you think should be the case, or you can get to work on dealing with what is the case. If you're mad, you are. If your partner's hurt or fearful, your evaluations about whether they have a right to feel that way don't change that. Feelings just are. They don't need a reason. They don't need a justification. Even if big feelings are based on an incorrect understanding of the situation, it doesn't change the fact that those feelings are present. They're faster than thoughts, and they're important. So this idea that feelings are not to be trusted is really a complete misnomer. The more we can stop demanding that emotion somehow be related to rational thinking, the more we can just stop spinning our wheels. The productive path often doesn't lie in arguing about whether someone has a right to feel a given way, but in understanding what's going on relationally to feed those emotions. Feelings are neither trustworthy nor untrustworthy. Emotions are visceral before they're perceptual. And what about those thoughts we love so much? What about rationality? Don't get me wrong, I'm all for having a solid grip on reality. I like remembering things accurately, and I love learning new things. So I'm not here to bash rationality as a concept. The problem is that our brains just don't work that way as much as we like to think. While it can be attractive to think of the brain as a camera or a hard drive for storing information, it's really more of a prediction machine. It predicts what's happening and is about to happen based on past experience, and then updates those predictions on the fly as it gets new information. If the brain was a camera or like a computer hard drive, eyewitness testimony would be 100% reliable in a court of law. But as we all know, eyewitness testimony can be picked apart by a competent lawyer. While what we remember about the things we see and hear feels incredibly real, that can fall apart in a matter of minutes when it's picked apart. So while feelings are not facts, guess what? Your facts are not nearly as objective as you'd like to think. In the human brain, there's no such thing as a raw fact. By the time a piece of information reaches your conscious mind, it has been filtered, edited, and shaped by your past experiences and your current state of mind. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. Facts are perceptions. Everything you see, hear, and perceived is filtered through your own experiences, biases, and preconceived notions about the world. Let's get to how all this applies to your relationships and validating emotions. Since thoughts and emotions are clearly so different, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. You can validate your partner's emotions without agreeing to their ideas. So if your partner is mad at you because they believe you didn't take out the trash, but you did take out the trash, you actually have two things to deal with. You have their upset feelings, and you have their incorrect belief that you didn't take out the garbage. It's two different things, and they require different strategies from you to deal with them. Now, it's the emotional part that makes people uncomfortable. Emotions are also the fastest part, as we know, so it makes sense to deal with those first. Hey, I get that you're upset. I can understand that and respect your right to your feelings. Realize you haven't given up on anything by saying this. You're not saying they're right, and you're not taking the heat for something you didn't do. You're simply acknowledging the feeling you perceive and validating it. This is important. I'll explain why in a moment. You can then follow up with what you did do and ask if there was some kind of misunderstanding or something else going on they want to discuss. Now, if you're like me and fairness is a core value, it may be very upsetting being accused of something you didn't do. Believe me, I get that. If this is you too, there are a few things I want you to remember. First, their feelings are not your feelings. Just because your partner is upset in the moment doesn't mean you have to be. Second, just because they say it doesn't make it true. Just like emotions, false accusations are data. They're a sign there's a breakdown somewhere, maybe in expectations, maybe communication, maybe something else. Proving yourself right in this moment may ultimately prove to be less productive than you've hoped. But if you can use this moment to get curious, you have new possibilities. What's going on here? Why does my partner have such an incorrect understanding of what I'm contributing? Arguing the point further is the raw material of high conflict. Curiosity is the raw material of productive resolution. Is your partner being irrational in their criticism of you? Maybe, but even if they are, that moment may not be your most productive opportunity to set the record straight. Again, I get it. Fairness is definitely a core value for me, so being falsely accused goes all over me. But we can find a different way forward. Third, be clear on what you're validating. You're validating the emotion, not the accusation. I would not encourage someone to accept false claims, but that's not what we're talking about here. Validating the feeling is powerful. If you're uncomfortable with validating inaccuracies, I get that. I'm the same. And fourth, just because you want to set the record straight doesn't mean setting it straight right now is your most productive path. Show some patience. Lean into a little finesse to help resolve these things. Curiosity is your friend in these moments. You may find that once you bring the temperature down, it becomes much easier to set the record straight, eventually. Now, this approach may require you to lean into a paradigm shift. Do you argue to win, or do you argue to find resolution? Those aren't the same. If you prefer a good fight to resolution and connection, these won't feel right for you. But if you're watching this video and your goal is actually resolving your disagreements, maybe this offers you something. Feelings before facts. Curiosity over judgment. Patience. Now, there are two basic reasons I advocate for this approach. First, it's a more effective way to resolve arguments. When your partner is already upset, telling them they have their facts wrong just feels like an attack. When we feel attacked, we rely on ancient strategies. Fight, run away, or freeze. None of these is helpful for finding calm resolution. If someone is leaning into fight, flight, or freeze, it's not necessarily manipulation because, like we discussed, these reactions are easily 10 times faster than logical thought. Pushing your partner deeper into that response pattern with what feels like an attack just repeats negative patterns. But validating the emotion first helps your partner feel seen and heard. It helps them feel loved even when they are upset. And second, it helps foster better connection in the long run. You see, behavior is learned. If you teach your partner you're actually listening, you're not just being nice, you're making your own life easier. You're building a relationship that actually works. Now, I know that word empathy gets a bad rap. Some people think it means being a doormat or agreeing with things that aren't true, but that's a total misunderstanding. Think of empathy as a high-level skill. It's not about surrendering, it's about understanding. Validating a feeling isn't the same as signing a confession. It's just acknowledging the reality of what's happening in the room. If your partner is drowning in emotion, they can't hear your logical arguments anyway. By validating the feelings first, you aren't losing the fight, you're lowering the temperature so you can finally stop fighting and start communicating. Empathy and connection are the kryptonite of conflict. If you want to fight less, you don't need better arguments, you need a better approach. Are you picking up on a pattern here? The way to wrap your brain around these techniques is to develop a new understanding of that old saying. It's true, feelings are not facts, they're different. But using this statement to dismiss emotions, not helpful. Using this statement to get clear on the important differences between them can lead you to a totally new place in your relationship. When you learn to validate the feeling first and then sort out the details later, you can clarify the conversations in new and important ways. You engage the feelings for what they are without demanding they're somehow based on rationality. It keeps you both out of this trap where you feel manipulated and your partner feels unheard and unloved. So after you go through all of this, if you still feel uncomfortable with showing empathy by validating emotions, it's a good news, bad news proposition. Now, we always take the bad news first, right? If you struggle with the basic idea of validating emotions, of showing up for your partner with real empathy and curiosity, that's not about them, it's about you. There are all kinds of reasons we may struggle with empathy. Men especially are not taught to practice or value empathy in our society. Somebody got the idea somewhere that it just isn't manly or something. They're wrong about this, but that's another video. The good news is that empathy is a skill. You can learn how to practice empathy. You can get better on it. You can work on it. Working with a qualified professional can help you build your empathy skills so you can show up for your partner in new ways. If you want me to make a video on improving your empathy skills, drop me a comment below and let me know. Okay, friends, don't forget to check out my Patreon community for more information and a chance to support my work here. And I bet you know someone who would benefit from watching this video. Do me a favor, please, and click that share button below and send it to them. Thanks for being here. Until next time, be well.